Jack Neal and Nick Fuentes podcast. See what these niggas is talking about.
It's a pleasure to have you here, man. Guys, we are in an undisclosed warehouse right now. It's a little sketchy in here, but we thought it looked cool. So, Nick, you're banned on most social media platforms. You're on a no-fly list. Your bank accounts are frozen. You're investigated by the FBI, and you even had someone try to come to your house to kill you. What exactly did you say that made you so dangerous?
Well, from the very beginning, the first thing that I said is that Israel is not our closest ally with the United States. And what is interesting is that so much has happened since that happened, which was about 8 years ago. And I guess it's important to understand how these things take place.
Imagine just saying Israel's not our greatest ally, get you canceled from everywhere and banned and abandoned, and no, you can't even have a bank, you can't fly. That's crazy.
Which is that, for example, somebody showed up to my house with a gun trying to kill me because I said that after the election, I said, your body, my choice, which is like a twist on my body, my choice. I got doxxed. But my address had been on the internet because the SPLC posted it. Southern Poverty Law Center. This is one of these liberal outfits. They posted a photo of my house on their website. And this is, by the way, one of the richest nonprofits on the left. They're up there with the ADL. They're very wealthy, very powerful. It's important to understand, they put the address out there and crazy liberals, leftists got that. And they attacked my house because of something I said on Twitter. But it's important to know that I was targeted first by the SPLC, by the ADL. This is why my address is out there. This is why I was branded at one time a white supremacist and a white nationalist. And a lot of people don't understand that that is really the anatomy of how somebody is canceled, is you say something that is against, let's say, the hegemonic left. You say something that is against the most powerful global special interests. And people don't realize it works this way. So like, for example, you'll say, Israel's not our closest ally. And then a group like the ADL, which is a group, they're called Anti-Defamation League. They're against the defamation of Jewish people. A group like that will identify you as an enemy of their special interest, which is the Israel lobby. They will pay somebody, not a significant amount of money, but they'll pay somebody a full-time salary to then follow you around, how you make your money, what you do for a living, your family, your employers, employees, friends, associates, and they start to poke and look for ways that they can hurt you, to persuade you to stop saying the things that you're saying. So in my case, from a very early age, I was not really controversial when I got started. I didn't really say anything that was that out there, but I was saying that Israel's not our ally. So they put somebody on me. In this case, it was Jared Holt at Right Wing Watch. Right Wing Watch is a subsidiary of People for the American Way, which is a Soros-funded nonprofit. So this guy would watch my show every...
And that's what some people don't really understand about the right wing of Israel. Like, they are fucking, the Likud party is fucking, I'm trying to tell you, they don't hire, that's what I'm saying, like, they wasn't hiring niggas to come kill you. They was coming to kill you. And you was gonna see their face and everything. Like, it's crazy shit.
Every night. He was paid to do this. It's his job. And he was paid to look for every time I said anything controversial, anything that sounded controversial, any joke that sounded offensive. And his job was then to clip what sounded bad, post it on Twitter, and say that represented that I'm a white nationalist, I'm an extremist, neo-Christian fanatic. And this has taken place over the course of 10 years. Ever since I was 18 years old, this is what I have been subjected to. And after 10 years, you get a profile as all your worst clips, all the things that could sound bad. All those things have been compiled over your entire career, and then they make you out to be a fanatic, a nut job, a hateful person. And so that's how I got the reputation as a white nationalist, all of the above. What they then do, of course, is they rile up their base. So the person that showed up at my house was a 23-year-old kid. I don't actually know what his motivation was. The police never told me. I imagine he was maybe feeling bad about the election. He showed up at my house about a month after that. Maybe he was upset about my tweet about abortion or feminism. But he was effectively sicked on me by these types of groups that built up that catalog of horrible things that engage in that reputational destruction. And so that's just a little insight into how this, it's sort of the anatomy of a smear, the anatomy of that kind of labeling and that kind of smear campaign.
And that's all people have to do to get people to get charged up to come kill you, is because all they have to say is, "Oh, that guy, he's a Nazi. He loves Hitler. He's a bad guy. He's not a human." They have to dehumanize you, and once they dehumanize you, they can come do whatever they want to. They won't feel bad because, "Oh, he wasn't human."
Who do you think invented cancel culture?
Cancel culture's been around forever. I think it's maybe a better way to say it is it's character assassination. And we live in an open society. I don't think there's a lot of assassinations anymore, although that's not really the case this year. Charlie Kirk was killed. They tried to kill Donald Trump. But generally speaking, we don't live in a very violent political order. So what they do now is they engage in reputational destruction, character assassination. If they don't like what you're saying, they go out there and they, like I said, they look for your worst moment, a bad joke, a salacious personal scandal, and then they air that out to hurt your reputation and get you to apologize or stop saying what you're saying. And so I think that cancel culture has been around for a long time, but now the people that are using it the most, it is the billionaire political class. It is the oligarchs, effectively. Because you look at the most powerful people that are running our country, they have blood on their hand. They have blood on their hands. These are some of the worst people in the world. We're just now seeing some of the Jeffrey Epstein files come out. This is a notorious trafficker who rolls with underage girls, engages in blackmail. Of course, he dies under mysterious circumstances. He's friends with the most powerful people in the world. They're engaged in war crimes. They're engaged in corruption, bribery, lobbying. But billionaires are never canceled. It's always small-time political activists. It's always rogue congressmen like Thomas Massey or Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's an asymmetry, which is to say that it's always media money and power that are using reputational destruction against the weaker people typically that have very little influence or very little power. And they do that to silence dissent. So cancel culture is something that is used mainly by the powerful. It's asymmetric warfare.
You noted on your stream last night, it led me...
Because if you can control the minds of the masses, you can control everybody. I forgot if it was China or Japan where they were like burning old scriptures of like, because they wanted to stop they wanted to stop them from worshiping the old shit, and they wanted to start. So I forgot if it was China or Japan where they was burning the books, but yeah, burnt the whole library down, burnt all the scrolls, everything. He was like, "You're not gonna do that no more." So if you want to control the mind, if you want to control the masses, you got to control the mind.
To this logical conclusion that they kind of manufactured it in a way like, oh, this is racist, this is homophobic, this is transphobic. But really, the only effect you get is when you say something anti-Semitic, you know? Right. So, like, are you conspiratorial to the point where you believe that the whole thing was manufactured just so no one could say anything that was considered anti-Semitic by their standards?
I think it speaks to who wields the power in the country, because there's that famous adage, which is to learn who rules over you, learn who you're not allowed to criticize. That's attributed to Voltaire. Voltaire didn't say that, but nevertheless, it's very true. And it goes without saying, if you're at your job, you can't criticize your boss. You can't ridicule or attack your boss. Why? Your boss has power over you. If you offend him, he'll fire you. Similarly, in the United States, for roughly the last 10 or 15 years, it was very acceptable to attack straight white men, Christians. They were the butt of every joke. You could make fun of Southerners. You could make fun of hillbillies with Southern accents. You could make fun of white people for not having a culture, not being able to dance, attribute all the evils of the world to white people or Christians for that matter. you were not allowed to criticize racial and religious and ethnic minorities. You couldn't criticize blacks, Hispanics, Asians. Couldn't talk about mass migration. What has changed in the past year, though, is that it seems that some of the political correctness concerning the minorities has gone away. And in the past year, it seems now you're able to talk a little bit more openly about, let's say, black crime. People talk about black fatigue. You're able to talk more about illegal immigration, which is largely an Hispanic issue. You're able to talk about Indians in a derogatory way. But what is interesting is that a year after the Trump revolution in 24, Trump gets back in, political correctness seems to be dead. You look across the board, you can still criticize white people, and the left frequently does. Now you're able to criticize non-white people and the racial ethnic minorities. But the one group you're still not allowed to criticize is Jews. If you're called racist, that gets laughed off now. If you're called anti-white, well, the left is pretty openly anti-white.
They might celebrate
But to this day, you still cannot be, so-called or in reality anti-Semitic. And if you're following the logic, you can't criticize the powerful, those that rule over you. That would seem to suggest that if you can't criticize, maybe they're the most powerful ethnic group in the United States of America. I think that's logical.
You can say
Nick, I do want to touch on that in a bit.
Word. That's crazy.
First, I want to talk briefly about your backstory. I feel as though your interviews with Patrick Bet-David and Tucker kind of covered that fairly well. But
what I think about is like all our journeys we've come so far to get to here.
You done watched like 30 interviews.
Some similarity that you and I have is you're a fellow speech and debate kid, right? You won 4 competitions in extemporaneous speaking in 2015, which is basically like giving a political speech on the fly. Do you think like being a debate kid kind of made you the speaker you are? Or do you think you've kind of always had this interest?
I always had this interest. I always loved politics. Ever since I was 12 or 11 years old, it was always my thing. I started to get into it really because I was just curious about the world. You sort of start to develop your consciousness around that age. You could say when you're like 10, 11, 12 years old, start to become aware. And I just started to think about worldly things. I wanted to know about history. I wanted to know about politics. The 2012 election was coming up. And I was a very young boy, but I wanted to know what was happening. So I went all in and I read as much as I could. I really got into the libertarian stuff. I got into Milton Friedman, Thomas Sowell. And then in high school, I really did get into, like you said, extemporaneous speaking, speech team, Model UN.
Did you do that your senior year?
I did it the whole time I was in high school, yeah.
Got it. I was curious, did you ever, because it's a fairly leftist activity, did you ever lose any competitions or like get in beef with anyone over saying something controversial in that activity?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'll never forget, I was at sectionals or regionals. I think I won sectionals and maybe got to regionals my junior year. And they gave us, one of the topics I got for extemporaneous speaking was about Obama. And in the speech, I said Obama wasn't born in America. And I think every judge ranked me in last place just because I said that.
That makes sense.
It was very left-wing, yeah.
I had a fairly similar experience with the activity. I did quite well, actually. Like, I was a national champion in it. So, like, that's why I was so nerdy and went through your stuff. And I was like, how was Nick in this activity? Because he's a great speaker, but I can't imagine him doing that well with libertarian or conservative beliefs. Did you ever get kicked off the team? Or were they pretty cool with you overall?
They were cool. The coaches knew that I was extremely conservative and they were very liberal, but they were pretty tolerant. Ironically, it was a bit more tolerant before Trump ran for office.
Right. Yeah.
For some reason, I think that things had been polarized at that point, but Trump just took it to another level. So as a libertarian conservative, they were fairly tolerant. And that was maybe a less radical viewpoint also. That was sort of before nationalism came to the center. But no, they were fairly tolerant.
I think you kind of hinted who has the power to silence someone like you. But can you kind of give me an organizational chart of influence as you see it?
Sure. So I frequently talk about how...
All right, guys.